Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
My name is Terry Lynch. I'm with Oregon Ecology. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of one peak. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ecology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Blind Peak. She's facing south. He's facing north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, alleged production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
Alien Strand Podcast.
I was sleeping in my bed, and there was a presence in the room. I was paralyzed in the bed. He seemed like a shadow, probably about 6 foot high, wearing 6 foot, very tall. It was sitting on my chest, sitting on top of my chest. The lady was old and haggard. She had straggly gray hair. Kind of an old woman standing in front of me.
And there was an old lady.
This was not a nightmare. I know that I am awake when this happened.
Can't escape from this entity that has entered your room.
It's a feeling of perhaps the greatest terror that one can imagine.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Everybody, welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's going to be a real good one today. I'm glad you guys are sticking around here today. We can catch us on 26, 27 platforms of audio podcast, okay? You can actually, right now, we are live on Alien Strand Podcast Facebook. We are live on Alien Strand Disclosure Project Facebook. We are live on Quantum Enlightenment. We are live on The Hidden Truth About Everything Unusual. We are live on Extraterrestrial Strange Happenings Group. I like that group anyway. We are live on YouTube. Sure to enjoying this podcast and everything that we're having to bring out today. I hope you were able to catch the last podcast we had with Miss Karen Pratt. That was a really nice, really good podcast that she was able to, get a lot of the things out and things that she's been seeing up in the sky. And of course, the alien that was in the window. That was real strange to see, Luckily, we have these analyzation techniques with our cameras and our phones and everything, so we can actually put these things together, right? So be sure, if you guys are watching this tonight on any of the platforms, especially a group page, you might have to go to the StreamYard where it tells you a little extra wording there, and then it'll allow you to put your name and everything. If not, if you want to see your name come up, it'll probably come up if you go on my personal page or on Alien Strand podcast page or on YouTube. Okay, so be sure if you guys are commenting tonight, that's about the only way that your name's going to come out until you give StreamYard the permission to put your name out there. That's the only way. That's the way it is, man. It is what it is. You know, we have to. Everybody's got to just kind of take care of their names and backgrounds. But hey, it is what it is. So, you know, we have a lot of folks already chiming in. It's full out there. Everybody's watching, waiting for this episode. You know, the only reason because it's real important, you know, for people to know what happens to folks out there when these encounters and some abductions happen to folks out there, you know, and they hold it in for a long time, but you know, sometimes they just want to get it out. And today my guest Joel Cimino, he's gonna tell his story here shortly, and he's gonna make sure that, you know, you guys get to understand exactly what he's seen. Now, a lot of my folks that guests that come on the podcast don't always get to get photos and videos because these things happen to them way in the past, and they just kind of forget about them. So they, you know, and they're not, you got to remember, not everybody's like into ufology and everything after that. It just, strange things happen to people. They just want to get it off their chest. So we don't have very many photos or anything like that, but we do have images to make you, to kind of put you there where he was at the time where things were happening. Now, I'm glad that you guys are on board today. Don't forget, follow us on Patreon. Make sure follow us on Patreon if you can. You know, we have a free site there. Go check that out. You know, we're going to start getting extras on there. I'm already getting the shows together for the extras. Be sure to go check us out on Patreon. Just got to download the app, man. That's just the way it is. Now these days, everything's an app, right? So, hey, that, you know, if you want to get some good content, this is the way to do it. All right. So tonight's show, like I said, it's going to be, we call it Alaskan Timeline because, you know, there's a lot of things that happened to him while he was a young child, and, you know, he wants to talk about these tonight. So thank you guys for sticking around and just watching tonight, and it's gonna be a great show. Okay, so don't forget, catch our movie The Middle on Amazon Prime if you guys can. You know, it's going to be on 20 platforms. Actually, I just checked it today. We're on 25 platforms now. So we moved up 5. Hey, I'll take that, you know. So if you want to watch it for free, TCL channel on Roku TV. You can download Tubi TV. You can watch it free there. If you want commercials, you know commercials, $2.99 on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out there, okay? So, like I said, we have The Middle 2 coming up. I'm in production. I have to go get me a new computer. Sorry. Things are happening. I started glitching real bad. I was like, no, I'm not going to put this out there until I get this fixed. So, going to get a new computer. We're going to keep going with that, all right? So, don't forget, follow us on Alien Strand Disclosure Project there on Facebook if you can. If you want to report a UFO, you want to be a representative of Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we even have a paranormal area there too, all right? So you can actually represent Alien Strand Disclosure Project in the paranormal, as well as with the abductions. We have a few folks that help people there. And then we have our regular folks that, you know, if you want to report a UFO, anything that you see in the sky, you can go to that webpage, you know, ASDPUFO-.com, you know, go over there, and I'm going to put it on the ticker real quick so you guys can see it. Go to these places right there, even alienstrand.com. Go over there, and then you'll be able to check out all our information on our pages, and you'll be able to meet these people as well. You know, so these folks are all really good people, and they're ready to get involved and ready to jump in whenever you need their help, okay? So please chime in with them if you can on ASDP, all right? Don't forget, we still have Mr. Terry Lynch is going to be coming on ASDP Weekly. I think we'll probably do that on Sunday, all right? So just kind of get ready for that. But without further ado, and without me rambling so much, let's go ahead and get our guest on today. So his name's Joel, and let's go ahead and bring him on in now, okay?
Hi.
Hey, there he is. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You know me, I'm just busy. I'm just going back and forth. We were trying to get the podcast kind of going back and forth, and but we got it down. Yeah. So thank you for being on the show today. I know that we've been trying to get you on the show since 2020, something like that.
Yeah. Been a while.
It's been a while. I remember I reached out to you back in the day, but you weren't ready yet. And then you recently reached out to me. So can you tell the folks out there from the very beginning, how all this unfolded for you from the very beginning.
Yeah, I always had experiences with seeing things that weren't there and talking to people, and I guess this is true of all kids. You hear your mom saying, yeah, you sit there and you used to stare at the wall and giggle and point, so I always had stuff like that happen, and I never had a real bad childhood as a toddler or anything. I was pretty calm and well put together. Right. I used to get headaches when I was in about fourth grade. I started getting migraine headaches.
Okay.
And I started getting headaches to the point where they thought I was epileptic. And they had to do some series of tests down at the Children's Hospital in Seattle and in Alaska.
Okay.
And they couldn't determine if I was epileptic or not because I was too hyperactive, and they couldn't sedate me to get the test done right. It wouldn't have turned out right or something. Okay. So they never got a definitive test on or answer on why I was having these intense migraine headaches. And when I would have these migraine headaches, my head would just pound like, how a normal migraine headache works.
Right.
Too much blood flow through your temples, and your veins have constricted, and it's a normal process. But what was more intense is that I would hear things when I was having these headaches.
Wow.
So I had to have the doors locked, or not locked, but the doors closed and everything off and the lights off. I could have a fan blowing on me with a cold, wet washcloth on my head, and I could tolerate that, and no lights at all, nothing.
Wow.
And it was during one of these times that I was in my room, and my parents were out, I think at the neighbor's house across the way. And I was in the house by myself in my room, and I was laying there, and there was a picture window right in front of where my bed was, a big picture window, and I could see out in the night sky. It was a full moon outside. I know that for sure because I'll tell you how I know that in a minute. But I was laying there, and it got real eerily quiet outside, and I'm sorry about my dog. It got eerily quiet, and this light, I don't know, I can't tell you that it was a blue light or that it was a white light. I just remember a light. And in that light that was illuminating the outside of my house, walking across the window, you know how when somebody walks across the way, their body kind of bounces, their head kind of moves, and you can tell they're taking steps.
Right.
This didn't happen. This was a slow, just ever so subtle movement. And it looked to me like a little old wrinkled man with a big bald head. And I remember getting up and walking over to the window to try and see where he went, because there's nowhere that if you follow where he was walking towards, there's no outlet there. He couldn't get around the house. He would be stuck in this little courtyard. And so I went to look, and I looked outside. I didn't see him anywhere. And by the time I went back to my bed and went to lay back down, the light was gone. I didn't notice it turning off or fading away. I just remember it was no longer there.
So, what location are we talking about here? Where are we at when all this is taking place at?
This is in a logging camp in Hobart Bay, Alaska. and it's in Southeast Alaska, and it's this is back in 1980. And the only way to get there was by a float plane or a boat. And so it was one of the most isolated areas you can go to in Alaska.
Wow.
And I had only lived up in Anchorage, Alaska before this with my grandmother. But when my mom got remarried and to her third husband, and he adopted me, we became the life of an Alaskan logger. And so we moved around a lot, and we're in the woods a lot.
Wow. I mean, it looks beautiful out there, and of course, probably in the summer times it's really nice out there. A very woodsy area in that general area, correct?
Oh yeah, it's very woodsy, and there's a lot of not swampy areas, but a lot of muskegee areas,
right?
And where the ground is softer, and then you go in, and then there's the forest area and stuff. So there's a lot of rough terrain around there.
Now, after this happened to you at night, right? Do you remember if you woke up in the morning, or did you ask your parents if somebody was outside or walking by your door or anything like that?
I asked if somebody had moved in next door, because the house that was directly across from us sat parallel to our trailer.
Right.
And then if you go to the left, there was another trailer that was facing this way. So there was no getting past it. It created like a little alcove. But the one that completed the little alcove was empty and abandoned. And I thought that somebody might have moved in there. And I asked my mom I think I asked my mom or my dad if somebody moved in. They said, no, why? And I said, well, I saw people walking out here last night.
Wow.
And said it was probably one of the neighbor kids.
Wow.
I don't know.
So, I mean, and then once this happened, did you just kind of let it go and just didn't think anything of it and just kind of kept on going with normal life there in Alaska?
Yes and no. We moved to another logging camp, and in that other logging camp, I started doing some more outdoor stuff, some more hunting and fishing, and I used to have a trap, a series of traps where we would trap the animals and sell their furs and make money that way.
Right.
And when I would go out into the woods, I became hyper vigilant a lot. I always felt like somebody was watching me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was scared, but I definitely didn't feel like I was alone. And I used to chalk it up that it was just my dog that was with me or what have you. But it was more than that. I just didn't feel like I was alone.
Right. So, did you ever have any indication? I mean, did you ever know about back then? I mean, did anybody ever talk about aliens or UFOs or anything like that at the time? Do you remember as a kid living out there, if anybody had seen anything strange or anything like that during that time you were out there?
No. We didn't ever really talk about aliens. We talked about, I don't know, we just never, nobody ever really talked about aliens or UFOs. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now,
right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody pretty much just kind of kept those things to themselves. And now you told me that there was that was your first incident. Now, what was the second incident that you can recollect that kind of brings you to the story, how it kind of comes out for you?
Well, we moved around a lot, and there's not a lot to do in the logging camps for a child that there's not a lot of children out there, so you kind of make up things to do as you go along. And one of the things that I liked to do as a young child is I would collect bottles. And I would, these multicolored bottles that were either from alcohol or olive oil or what have you. I just thought they were nice and shiny, and I would collect them. And so I was out at the quarry where they made the dump for all the garbage, and I was out there digging through the garbage and doing what kids do. And the next thing I know, I cut myself. And I remember looking down at my thumb, and the next thing I know, I was about a good 500 feet away from where I was, and I woke up and the light was over me, was the sky was darker. And it seemed like a whole bunch of time had passed, and I don't know how long it passed because I didn't have a watch with me or anything like that. But that was one of the first times that I remember losing time and not being where I was when I remember being there.
So, do you think that when you cut yourself, I mean, do you remember maybe like if you just kind of blacked out at that moment when that happened, and then woke up and it was dark, and you were in a different location 500 feet away? Yeah,
and I understand that, part of me thinks, okay, did I start feeling faint and see my own blood and start feeling faint and stumble over to where I was, and then that's where I woke up? I ran over all these things, and I never would have done that. I was such a rough and tumble kid at the time that, the sight of my own blood would never have made me do that, And I have fainted before, and I know what that feeling is, that you are losing control feeling. And this wasn't like that. This was like a instantaneous, I closed my eyes and opened my eyes, and I was boom there.
Wow. Almost like when I don't know if you ever gotten surgery before, but I mean, I have one time when they put me under, I remember is counting to like 2 and bam, I was out. And then I just woke up and it felt like a second had just passed by, but it was a few hours had passed, you know what I mean? But that was surgery. And I kind of, I can understand where you're at right there, because it's like you're just there for a second, you cut your hand, and then you wake up and you're 500 feet somewhere else, Do you remember, other than the cut in your hand, did you get any kind of other scarring, any burns, anything like that? Do you remember anything like that back then?
No, but you're speaking of scarring. Speaking of scars and stuff like that, when I woke up 500 feet away and I stood up and I was kind of looking around, I looked at my hand and it wasn't bleeding and there was no cut on my hand anymore.
Wow. So, wow.
That's the other thing that I had to question now as an adult, like, why do I not have a scar from that? Why do I not have any type of cut mark on my hand at all? And why didn't I have it? I wasn't imagining the fact that I cut my hand. I can still remember the pain and the burning and the,
Wow.
I can still remember it all.
Wow, that's a first for me. I mean, that's the first time I've heard that, like, to where you got cut or anything, and then you don't have it anymore after that small period of time that went by. Okay, so, and then after that, was that one day? And then how far during the first time to the second time that this happened to you? Do you remember, like, there was a time span in between?
Yeah, it was like a good 8 months, 9 months between the time frame.
Wow.
So the next time that I had anything like that happen, I had gone to a Boy Scout camp up in Eagle River, outside of Juneau. It was called the Eagle River Boy Scout Camp, and it was kind of a big camp up there. As a matter of fact, posted one of the pictures already up there, and that was the exact area that it happened. No, it was the other one, the one on the left, right there.
Okay.
That particular field right there was in Eagle River Scout Camp, and that was outside of Juneau. And I was up there, and we were having a activity where you had to use a compass and a map and go out to these different checkpoints and make your way back to camp using the compass and the map.
Right.
And we were out there, and it was me and another scout that we were paired up together, and we got separated somehow. And
lean on us.
We are here for you.
You matter.
You are not alone.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? Not sure where to turn? The National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there for you 24/7. Call or text 988 or chat at 988sc.org. Whether you're having an emergency or you know someone who needs support now, they can help you take the next step towards finding hope and healing.
There is hope. 988sc.org.
How long was Neil Armstrong actually on the moon? When did Europe start speaking English? Did Marco Polo really go to China? CuriosityStream is the streaming service for all things history, plus science, wildlife, and more. What's the real story behind the Mona Lisa? We've got that. What caused the collapse of Rome? We know. Where did we find mankind's earliest ancestor? Come find out. For the holidays, give the gift of curiosity with 25% off gift cards for your curious cohorts. It's holiday shopping season at curiositystream.com/gift.
Lean on us.
We are here for you.
You matter.
You are not alone.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? Not sure where to turn? The National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there for you 24/7. Call or text 988 or chat at 988sc.org. Whether you're having an emergency or you know someone who needs support now, they can help you take the next step towards finding hope and healing.
There is hope. 988sc.org.
The next thing I know, I was looking for him and calling him in the field. Now, this is, mind you, a good 40 years ago. So, but I remember calling him in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find him. And then the next thing I know, I thought I tripped. And I was pushing myself up off of the ground. And I was all wet. And it was really dark.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't figure out why I was wet, number one. I couldn't figure out why it was so dark. And I got real scared. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't see, and I didn't know how to use the compass or anything. That was part of the problem. That's why we got separated, because I didn't know what I was doing, and he got frustrated with me. Anyway, so I finally found my way down the fields a little bit, and they were out looking for me, and they found me, brought me back to camp and everything. But then that was in a matter of 6 or 7 hours that I had been gone.
Wow.
And the area that we were in, if you walked the whole course that we were doing, would have only taken you maybe 45 minutes to do.
Wow. So they got worried about you because you should have been back already, and then 6 hours passed by, and they're trying to find you. At this time, how old were you at that time?
It was 1985, so I believe I was 13 or 14. 13
or 14. Okay.
I was 13, yeah. And when they brought me back to the scout area where the medic hall or cabin was and everything, I sat in the cabin for a while, and they were trying to warm me up. They got me a change of clothes, and I changed, And then they said they couldn't find me. And I was over there by the archery range, just sitting there in front of the archery range with the flashlight, shining my flashlight on the archery range, kind of like I was in a daze, like or shock. And I don't know why I was doing that. I remember this part a little bit, but after most of this is what I was told after the fact. So,
wow.
That was the main one.
It's kind of strange because, somebody had, we have a Facebook user saying, the wet feeling. Okay. I've done podcasts in the past of stories of people's that have had a little loss of time, or they just don't know where they've been. And I believe even Mighty Soul, we talked about this, that they come out like wet, like their hair's wet, real like a high humidity level, like you've been in a misty area, right?
Like a steam bath. It feels like a steam bath.
There you go. Exactly like that. So they say that a lot of people that do get abducted experience this on their body when they come back, that they're almost wet, kind of clammy all over, even their hair's wet, everything, and this is like one of the tail signs of an actual abduction. Now, did the scoutmaster or anybody like that ask you, hey, where were you? What happened to you? Anything like that?
Yeah, they kept asking me, how come you got lost for so long? Where have you been? Who were you out there with? And they wanted to know which scout was, with me, and I couldn't even remember his name. There's so many scout packs up there together. It wasn't just my troop.
Wow.
So, that was the most significant one. The other one happened when still in 1984, but it was in a logging camp called Dolomite Bay. And Dolomite Bay was a float camp that all the buildings and everything were on floats on the water. And you had to walk up a ramp to the land, and there was a couple buildings up there, including our school. But most of the camp was on floats. If you go up past the school and past a couple of quarries that were up there, there was old abandoned logging roads, and on the abandoned logging roads, they had some abandoned equipment up there. And being a small child and having nothing better to do, I would go up onto the pieces of equipment and just pretend to be driving on it. Go in there, check up the loose pieces of equipment, trying to move it around, pretend I was driving on it, pretend I was my dad or somebody else's dad, just doing the kids normally do.
Right.
And this is the time that I woke up and I was laying on the piece of machinery and my shoes were off. I don't know how that happened. And again, it was much darker than it was when I went and I was playing. And I remember it was a lot lighter because the machine was yellow and it was all faded. The paint was faded and the rust was coming through and everything. And the metal was hot. And I kept comparing the metal where it was painted versus where it was rust, which was hotter and everything. But when I woke up, the metal wasn't hot anymore. It cooled down so much that I don't know how much time had passed, but it was significant that I don't know why my shoes were off, because I wouldn't have taken them off. The metal was too hot.
Right. And when you were passed out, were you passed out on top of the machine, under the machine, or do you remember exactly where you were?
On the area where you step up, you use your foot and you step up kind of above the the track.
Right.
You can step up above the guard that's above the track below.
Yes. So you were around that area. It's kind of hard to when these things start happening to you. I know there were probably kind of disturbing because you're trying to think, okay, I've already had 3 of these incidents that has happened to me, right? And I can't figure out what it is. Did you ever tell your parents, hey man, these things are happening to me, I don't know, or you just kind of kept it to yourself?
I talked to my dad about what happened at the dump when I was I got the cut in my hand. And because he wanted to see, and he was worried that it was going to be infected and everything. He didn't see anything on my hand, and he told me that, maybe you're just getting heat stroke, but don't go around the, quarry anymore because you're going to get an infection and, all that kind of stuff. So, but he didn't really put too much stock in the fact that, hey, I woke up and I was laying on the ground, He didn't really address it with me. I don't know if he didn't.
Well, I mean, he might have just thought, well, you probably fell asleep or you tripped on something and you cut yourself, but I don't see nothing there. And you just kind of brushed off regular kid stuff, right? I mean, because that's what we do. Some parents do that, sometimes we don't look deep into things that they're telling us sometimes, but, I mean, you're giving the signs of, hey man, something's going on. Now to you, did you ever think of maybe that possibly you're probably taken, under some kind of paralysis or something?
No, I never. At the time, this is all retrospect that I've been taking these stories and these memories in my head and trying to put some semblance of to make it make sense in my head.
Right.
At the time when all this was going on, I never thought, oh my God, I've been abducted. I just couldn't figure out why I kept waking up. Like I that was the only thing that I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand why I was waking up. And then I never thought it was an abduction. I never thought about aliens. I never thought about, anything like that at the time. And then
do you have dreams? Did you ever have dreams about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you ever have dreams or anything like that about possibly seeing these things, like the one you saw kind of floating across your window?
I had dreams about people that I knew, but that I didn't know. And I had dreams about seeing people in my dreams. I would see people and I instantly knew who they were. And in my dream at the same time of doing this, I thought it was funny because I shouldn't know you, but I know you. Why do I know you?
Oh, wow.
And those were the only real dreams that I had about anything. When I used to get the headaches, though, there was a time that I was in my parents' living room and I was having my head rubbed and the pounding was going off in my head, and I was repeating a conversation that I was hearing from a couple houses down. And my mom was telling me, what are you hearing? What are you saying? You're hearing voices. What are you talking about? And I told her what was going on. I told her that the neighbors were arguing about a babysitter and about a baby and about who's going to watch the baby. My mom said, you're just dreaming. You're just hallucinating. Just go back to sleep. And I would have dreams like this all the time. And then things like that my mom would find out that, yes, they were arguing about the baby. And she started acting really weird around me after that.
Wow. So you were having like premonition dreams in a sense, or almost like you were there. This was happening before it was happening, or do you think that while you were asleep it was happening in real time? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it felt like it was in real time.
Okay.
Like I remember laying there and I have tears running down my face because, number one, the pain is so intense in my head. I cannot get it. And the pounding every time they would yell, the people that I was envisioning in my head were yelling. Every time they would yell, the pounding would hit, and it was just too intense.
Wow.
I had other dreams like that were not prophetic, as in like I would have something come true, but I would have dreams that were very continuous and connected, and they were all about exploiting. There was a group of people, and there was a plan, and that they had a way of making things better, and I don't think that they. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
I have had these thoughts running through my head, and it's been really hard for me to try and organize them and trying to explain them to other people. And this is part that I dreaded about doing this.
No, you're doing great. Don't worry about it. You're fine. I mean, I understand where you're at, what you're trying to say, and it's almost like, because you talked about the prophetic things, like drugs, like seeing things that were coming to pass, or maybe these things were telling you, hey, this is what's going to happen in the future, or these people are doing whatever they're doing, and you need to know about it. You know, and that's why I said it was sometimes. It was I call it a hidden agenda sometimes, you know. If you as a child, possibly if you were abducted, you know, they'll put these implants and you're having excruciating headaches, man. Excruciating headaches. And it's like maybe they put something in your head, you know, to where, okay, now all these things are starting to happen to you after the headaches, right? And maybe they're trying to tell you something there, or they're it's kind of hard to say, because we don't know exactly what their agenda is and why they take children or why they take adults, or even if that happened, you know. I do believe that something did happen to you, as far as like an abduction, because of the loss of time. Okay, so you've had these things happen to you. Now, have you ever had any like flashes of hey, I think I've been at this other place, or I've been in this room where I don't recognize it, but I've been here before, or there's something that comes to your mind that you've been somewhere, you just can't explain where you've been. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, I get that a lot, and it's a different feeling than like deja vu. It's not like that. It's like, okay, I'm here, and it's like I've arrived, and I don't know why I've arrived. I don't know why I'm supposed to be here, but I know I'm supposed to be here for some reason.
Right.
And I was just gonna say something else too that you were talking about. I don't even remember. I apologize.
It's okay. No worries. It'll come to you. But you know, I mean, like I said, we're talking about places that you've possibly been. You know, I know this has been bought. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I remember what I was going to say. But the weird thing is that when I have certain dreams, I have dreams about the same place over and over again. And then I will see that place on the internet, or I will see it on the TV, or even I've driven by places and I was like, I've seen that before. I know that place. Wow. So I've had that happen a lot.
Wow. Now, I know this is, like I said, this has been bothering you for quite some time now. Is it something that you're trying to put together with a timeline and try to figure out, okay, have I been through something and I want to try to get this resolved, or you know that something has happened to you, you're just trying to figure it out and try to wonder, okay, this did happen to me, I know this for sure, and we know that because you can pretty much explain everything what you're saying today, but and you want to get this out to people because there's a lot of folks exactly like you, Joel, that go through the same things and they don't understand what they're going through for many, many years, and then they want to talk about it because they think it's important, and then to get it off your chest. I know you wanted to get it off your chest as well, right?
I had to get this off my chest because there's got to be other people who are experiencing this, and it's not just me. It can't be just me, and you're inundated all day long, 24/7 on the internet about things, the UAPs and, abductions and sightings and everything else. And the more you get inundated with it, the more you want to tell your story, because you find within other people's story, you find stuff that you're like, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I remember. That's happened to me, And that's what I wanted to have happen for me, is I wanted to be able to have some sort of validation that, the things that I've experienced, I do experience, and I continue to experience, am I the only one going through this? And what is it that I'm going through? Because I don't want to just, I don't want to self-diagnose myself and say, yes, I was abducted.
Right. We have Angela Ellison right now. She just says, I had a series of dreams like a whole movie that just kept picking up where I left off. I saw a tomb unlike anything I've ever seen. I moved to Japan, and there they were, right? So she has something like, well, you experienced the same thing, like what you were talking about, places that you've seen on whatever, you say, hey, I've seen that place before, but I've never been there. And she just experienced that, Sue Harrison saying the same thing. She goes, I heard other people saying the exact same thing about deja vu. When you're talking about deja vu, all these things kind of come together as one, as you start putting them together. And now tonight that you're talking about it, I everybody that's watching tonight, there's a lot of folks watching tonight, and a lot of these folks that are watching have been experiencing almost the same things that what you're going through. You're not alone. For one, you're not alone. There's a lot of folks out there. I'm here to try to help you. That's just what we're trying to do here today, to try to, to, like you said, you want people to know what's happening to you, and you want them to know that you're not the only one, right?
Right. And
new on Curiosity Stream, we've walked with dinosaurs. We've explored our prehistoric planet, and we were always told the same story. Extinction came from the sky. But what if dinosaurs survived? Amazing Dino World 2. Watch it now on Curiosity Stream. With monthly, annual, and bundle plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
knowing that you're not the only one that's going through this, hopefully I will find, ways to cope with the different things that, like, I don't have a fear of the dark, but I have a fear of things being in my room. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I can be walking down the street at night and not be afraid. But if I'm in my room and I shut the door and the lights are out, I have a feeling that somebody's in there with me, whether they are or not. And I just become hyper vigilant about stuff like that. And I want to make sure that that's normal,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's almost like fear of the unknown in a sense. Because I'm the same way. It's like, I can watch movies and scary movies or whatever, but you get me in a dark room by myself, I'm going to freak out. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I don't want something to touch me on the shoulder, or I don't want something to grab my leg, and that is a normal instinct for a lot of folks. And there's folks out there that don't have that. They're just like, oh, okay, whatever. They'll go through things in life like that. But, as us, we're sensitive and more sensitive to not just ourselves, but it's almost like pre-sensory, right? In other words, you're connected to maybe something else. You are, Joel, you're actually connected to these things, whatever they were that took you. You are connected to them somehow, right? So I think that you have that connection, and it opened up for you somewhat, but you're having issues trying to cope and understand what happened, right? And put it together. And that's the hard part. And then know what they did to you. You don't even know yet, right? If you were taken, you don't even know what happened yet.
No, but I can tell you that things have gone on. Even now, as an adult, I've had things that have happened that I can't explain. And it has nothing to do with whether I was abducted or not. But I think you remember when we were talking before, how I talked to you about that tunnel of light. Right. So I'm sitting outside on my front porch with a good friend of mine who is now unfortunately passed away. But we were sitting out there and we were on our phones doing something, and we're both sitting on the couch side by side next to each other. And as we look up above the horizon, above the house in front of us, comes this bluish kind of light, but it snakes its way over to us, kind of like from that movie The Abyss, where it was a big giant bubble that was constantly connected like a snake. Right. And it kind of wove itself around, and it did this like fast like that, and it came, touched me, and then went back. It sucked itself back up the way it came. It didn't just turn off and disappear. You actually saw the light suck itself back and move back up over the house again.
Wow.
And,
so it retreated after it did that. It touched you, and it kind of just retreated, like it was still connected.
Yes, and it happened so fast. It was like I can't describe how fast it was. It came in, but it was like it wasn't like a beam of light. You turn a beam of light on, and it's there, boom, instantly. Right. This traveled and then retracted.
Wow! And your friend saw that happen to you.
Yeah, because he screamed and he immediately wanted to call the police. And my neighbor, who was coming out of her house, who the next door neighbor across the street, whose house it was that the light came over, had come out of her house and was like, "What are you guys yelling about? What's going on?" And we told her what happened, that and I asked her if her son or anybody was upstairs. She said, I'm home alone. Nobody's home.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And I said, are you sure nobody's home, Davon? And nope, nobody's home across the street. And so that happened. And that's about the first time that my headaches started coming back. And this is about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Wow. So it's just kind of like, it probably left you for a while and now it's back. So I'm sure it found you and contacted you because you're living in a totally different area now. You're not in Alaska anymore, right? So you moved on to a different state. And I've noticed that too. A lot of people that go through this as well, they're followed all their lives basically. And I don't know if there's a way to break that cycle to where they will leave you alone. Is there any way maybe you can possibly, find out? There's a meter that they have. I forgot what it's called, but I need to grab the name of this. It's a meter that you can put over your skin or over your body, and it'll give you a frequency reading, right? So once it gives you that if it goes above, I think 5 or something like that, then there's something metallic or something in your skin, right? So and I've seen one to where they did it on this gentleman because he says, I have an implant inside my arm and I know I could feel it, it's there. So they used this meter and it actually hit a 15 while it was on his arm. And then they were able to do surgery on him, get this implant out, and they put the wand on the implant, and it was just a small little piece of metal. They don't even know where it came. It was just kind of weird shaped. And the guy was going through a lot of things too, with abductions, things, loss of time. He was experiencing a lot of this stuff too. So after they did that, he was able to, kind of rest after that. Everything slowed down for him. So that's why I'm asking you. I mean, there might be a possible way to find out if you're maybe have an implant in you, because if you're getting these bad headaches like you are, I have a feeling you are, because frequencies tend to do that. Even pressure, of course, our barometric pressure does that to people with their sinus cavities and things like that. I get that part. But when you have excruciating migraines and then you're going through loss of time, you're having things that, where you're passed out, you wake up somewhere else. These are totally different things, so it's not a sinus issue. You actually have something. I believe, me personally, you possibly have something in your body somewhere that you've had. Do you kind of recognize any, like a little scar, anything on you that you've had since you were 10 years old or so?
There's a thing on the bottom of my right foot, and if you press on it, it feels like it's like the size of a pea.
Yeah.
And it's not attached to anything. Wow. And I've asked the doctors what it is, because if I press on it really hard, it hurts.
Oh, wow.
But I've asked doctors what it is, and they said, it's probably a calcium deposit or something, They just kind of chalk it up. And I've never really had anybody cut it open and try and take it out or anything. But that's the only thing I can think of that I have that is out of the ordinary.
Wow. You might want to get that checked. But I'll, like I said, I'll keep in touch with you, of course, but I'll try to find out who's anywhere in your area maybe might have that meter, and maybe they could just try it and just to see if you have any kind of frequencies coming out of there. But if you do, I would highly recommend somebody taking that out. And maybe you might find some kind of peace if they don't come back and put another one. So, and we want to make sure that, I know this is a bad thing for you because you're not having a good experience from it. Nobody has good experiences from this. Some folks get to see these things at a distance, and they get to experience these things at a distance, and it almost seems paranormal sometimes for some folks. But you actually experience the physical part of this, to where something happened to you and you don't know exactly what happened to you. It's like your mind has been wiped in some sort as a child, at little parts. Now, do you have like spots in your life while you're going that you just can't remember exactly, at that point in your life? And people tell you, yeah, here's pictures of us. We're doing this, we're doing that. And you're like, man, I don't remember that at all.
I joke with my family that I have Alzheimer's already, because I do have, people will tell me that, remember when we did such and such, or remember that we saw this movie? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I never saw that movie. Yes, you did. We just watched it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it never happened.
Wow. I mean, no, I get that part, where it's where you've lost some sort of mental time, or whatever. Memories got wiped out. So, and I get that. I understand that 100%, because like I said, I've talked to a lot of folks, and this is what happens to them too. Some folks get that as well. Do you think that this will ever stop for you?
I want it to. I want it to. It's getting annoying, and not knowing and not having the whole picture is what really is irritating and frustrating.
Wow. Yeah, I know, and it can be. It's actually mental. It drains you mentally, because you get so tired because you're just trying to figure out exactly what happened to you, and you can actually get sick because of it, because you're trying to figure out. Man, I know I'm not going crazy. I know these things are not happening to. I mean, I know I'm not. I don't belong in a mental institution. I know something happened to me, and that's why it's hard to talk about these things, because like we always talk about the stigmas that people put on other folks, just because they talk about this, And I just want you to know, Joel, that a lot of people have experienced what you experienced that I've talked to, and you're not alone in this. You're not alone at all.
What's frustrating, I think the most frustrating thing is not being able to put it in words. You're dealing with so much emotion that's behind this, and, and trying to put it into words that describe your emotions, but you're trying to tell them facts, and you want facts about what's going on because it's affecting you emotionally.
Right.
And that's what's frustrating as well.
Yeah. Some folks out there are asking, do you meditate? Because this person says this helped me. Have you tried meditation?
Yeah, I've tried meditation, but then I fall asleep.
Yeah, I get that part. I do get that part. Some person.
My sleeping habits are really wonky. I have a hard time staying asleep at night.
Okay.
I've had, a couple back surgeries, and so I have some spasming and stuff like that. But a lot of my sleep is because I don't like the reoccurring dreams that I have and the feelings that I get from those dreams, and it's hard to escape that. And
yeah. It seems to be that you're kind of suffering a little bit of PTSD. You are having some kind of post-traumatic stress because of what happened to you. And you just don't get this from war or anything or nothing like that. You get this from, being overwhelmed with something that's happened to you that has affected your life, right? So, and it keeps reoccurring over and over in your mind. And you do get that. and I've talked to a lot of folks that mostly everyone that I've talked to, Joel, that has gone through this, they all experience this, and they all say, yes, I have some sort of PTSD because I can't sleep.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
I sleep a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and it's hard. It's hard to understand. But when you have lack of sleep, it gives you it clouds your mind a little bit of having lack of sleep. So you get a little cloudy up there. Sometimes you do need to rest, and I know it's hard too, because of medications and your surgeries and things like that. But have you tried anything as far as like maybe talking to somebody else out there, that would say, hey, maybe we could try to help you, or you're just trying to figure this out? I know you said at the beginning you don't want to self-diagnose, right? So you're right, and it's hard to not to self-diagnose because you're going to all these group places, you go to all these web pages, and you start researching things that had happened to folks, and it's hard not to. But I'm just kind of letting you know that a lot of folks out here tonight have experienced what you experienced, and you're not alone. And if you need to reach out to them or reach out to me or reach out to anyone out there, we're going to help you try to make sense of what happened to you.
All right, I appreciate that very much. So,
yes,
I really do appreciate it. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on here and kind of vent some stuff, because you don't have a huge outlet of friends and family who are receptive to this type of thing and can give an open mind and some advice or well, have you thought about this, or have you tried this? And so I appreciate all that.
Oh yes, I mean that's what we're here for. I'm here to help you too. I want to make sure that you can at least try to get over this hump a little bit and then move forward with your life, because a lot of these things get to people, and we want to make sure that it doesn't get you. You know what I mean? That we want to make sure you can overcome and conquer this part and move forward. And then, you could still live with it and understand it, but talking to a lot of these folks here tonight, I'm sure they will reach out to you, Joel. I know you have a Facebook out there, so they'll probably reach out to you. Is it okay for folks out there to reach out to you?
Yeah, that's fine. I welcome that.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, we work with a lot of people here with Alien Strand Disclosure Project, because everybody here helps each other, and we try to help each other overcome these things, these obstacles, and these fears that happen to us, because you'll be able to talk to people that are experiencing the exact same thing. You'll be able to compare your notes together and actually put things together, like to say, hey, man, I know that happened to me too. And, you can probably figure out with another person and not feel like somebody's going to stigmatize you. You know what I mean? So, and nobody's going to do that here. And nobody's going to do that to you. I'm not going to ever do that to anybody, because I know that it's very traumatizing what you've experienced. But Joe, is there anything else you'd like to tell anybody out there before we close out today?
No, I just really think, pay attention to what your children are saying. Sometimes their make-believe stories are not necessarily just make-believe, and just keep that dialogue open so that they have a place to vent, and they don't feel ridiculed, for saying what they've experienced.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you said that, because us as parents, sometimes we get so busy that when our kids are talking to us, we're just still going and going. We're not paying attention. But, and yes, that's that's the best advice I've ever heard, somebody say, as far as their children and because of what happened to you as well. People are saying out there, you're so brave, Joel. Thank you for being on the show today. We really appreciate everything that you've done here today and told your story. I know it was hard for you. I know it was very hard for you. I could tell it was very hard for you. But for people to understand what has been happening to you out there, it's not easy. It's not easy to explain to folks. It's not easy to even think about it sometimes, because then you start reliving that in your in your subconscious sometimes, and you're afraid to trigger something when you think about it too much. And I understand that, but thank you again, Joel, for being on the show today. We really appreciate you. And like I said, we'll have folks reaching out to you. You can call me at any time you want. If you want to talk about it, anything you want to talk about, you can message me. I'll be glad to talk to you, and we'll get, we'll try to help you through this. And I'm going to find somebody in your area that maybe has one of the meters. I want to find out if that thing that's in your foot is an implant. We want to make sure that, and we get that thing taken out.
Okay. Yeah.
All righty. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and leave you now. You can hang on in the background, and I'll talk to you here after the show ends, and then we'll get with you in a minute. So everybody thanks you. They say you were very brave, and thank you for sharing your story. They really enjoyed you, and they really love you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you.
Yes. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. It's like I said, it's hard for folks to talk about their experiences and things that have happened. And some folks won't believe that what somebody says. Him as a child who's trying to explain to his father that this happened to me. But how do you say I lost time, or I lost this, or I lost that at 10 years old, at 13 years old? And you're trying to explain these things to people out there. Even your own parent, I know people get busy, but like he said, listen to your children, listen to your kids when they're talking to you, just, talk to them and listen. Stop what you're doing and listen to them. I'm guilty of that too. I'm so guilty of that, of not stopping what I'm doing because I'm going 100 miles an hour. But, I've learned a lot from Joel tonight, and I hope all you guys have learned from Joel tonight. They're saying much love to Joel. Thank you for that. It's just, I'm sure he appreciates that from you guys. And, it's been one of those things. And we hope you guys, like I said, enjoyed today's podcast, and it'll be on audio here in the next few days. And you can, play back. And if you like this podcast, please share it. Share this podcast with other people. We're live on, YouTube, Twitch, everything, X. We're live all over the place, 26, 27 platforms. Like I said, please leave us some comments. Please share it. Give us a thumbs up, and we can get more folks. And if you know somebody that wants to tell their story, have them give me a call, or hit me up on Instant Messenger. We'll gladly put them on the show if they want to be. They don't have to be, if they just want to talk to me, they can do that. So remember, we do have a hotline. It's for Alien Strand hotline. It's 361-245-8000. If I don't answer right away, I'm super busy all the time. You can actually text me on that number. Okay. So if you need to talk to me, I will call you back as soon as I get that little free time and I see your text. You can text me on that number too, but it's a hotline, 361-245-8000. And if you want to get some things off your chest, and we'll try to help you out as well. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as I have. I couldn't applaud Joel any more than I can right now. He did a phenomenal job explaining to you guys exactly what he experienced. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.